My name is Mary Redfern, and I'm curator of the East Asian collections at the Chester Beatty. Today I'd like to introduce the festival of Tanabata. Also known as the Star Festival, Tanabata is celebrated in Japan on the 7th day of July. The story of Tanabata, its history and customs, are described in the book Gingazoshi, the Book of the Milky Way, a woodblock printed book published in Japan in 1835. Tanabata is a tale of star-crossed lovers, or indeed lovers who are actually stars. While details vary, the story begins with the industrious weaver princess, Orihime, known to astronomy as the star Vega. Orihime was the daughter of the king of the heavens and devoted herself to her loom, weaving fine garments. Sensing her loneliness, the king arranged for her to marry a handsome and hard-working young herdboy, Hikoboshi, the bright summer star Altair. Orihime and Hikoboshi fell deeply in love, so in love that they neglected their duties. Orihime abandoned her loom, and Hikoboshi's herd of cattle wandered far across the heavens. In a rage, the king of the heavens ordered that they be separated by the heavenly river, or Milky Way. In mercy, it was determined that should they complete their task satisfactorily, once a year, on the 7th day of the 7th month, they would be permitted to meet, which they did, crossing the Milky Way on a bridge of magpies. The Tanabata story and its celebration on the 7th day of the 7th month originated in China as the Festival of Pleading for Skills, the basis for today's Qixi festival. From the 6th to 9th centuries, the Japanese imperial court adopted many customs and practices from China, including customs around Tanabata. First celebrated in 755 AD, it became an annual court observance known as Kikoden. During Kikoden, women of the court prayed for skill in weaving and other accomplishments. Lamps were lit, and from the Heian period, 794 to 1185 AD, poems were also written on the leaves of the paper mulberry tree and offered up to the stars. The story of Orihime and Hikoboshi, or Shokujo and Kengyu as they were also known, itself inspired many poems, including several in Japan's oldest poetry anthology, the Manyoshu, or collection of 10,000 leaves, thought to have been compiled around 759 AD. Over time, this story and its celebration were adopted across Japan. During Japan's Edo period, around 1603 to 1868, Tanabata became especially popular. Self-improvement and poetry remained key to proceedings. Poems were written on long poetry slips called tanzaku, or square sheets of decorative paper called shikishi, as shown in these pictures from the Book of the Milky Way. There it is also noted that those wanting to improve their calligraphy gathered dew from the leaves of potato plants to mix with their ink. The poetry slips were hung from staves of freshly cut bamboo, offerings were made to Orihime, and there were even lively dance parties. Of course, much has changed in Japan since the publication of the Book of the Milky Way in 1835, and one change in particular has had a dramatic impact on the Tanabata festival. Until 1873, Japan followed the lunar-solar calendar, in which months were set according to the phases of the moon, with adjustments to follow the Earth's orbit around the Sun. The 7th day of the 7th month according to this calendar falls somewhere around August. At this time, the stars Vega and Altair shine brightly either side of the Milky Way when seen from the northern hemisphere. In 1873, however, Japan adopted a version of the Western Gregorian calendar. In Japan, Tanabata is now generally celebrated on the 7th of July. This is particularly bad news for Orihime and Hikoboshi. One of the aspects of the Tanabata legend is that if Orihime and Hikoboshi fail to show sufficient progress in their work, then the Milky Way will flood, preventing their reunion. On Earth, this is witnessed as a rainy night, when clouds block the view of the Milky Way, and the lovers' tears fall from the heavens. While August in Japan is generally dry, much of July is marked by heavy rains. It seems that Orihime and Hikoboshi have to spend the night alone more often. Today, both the story of Orihime and Hikoboshi and the Tanabata festival are very popular in Japan. References can be found in anime and video games, and there is even a special celebration at Tokyo Disney. While children are now unlikely to be found harvesting the dew from potato leaves, many celebrate Tanabata by writing their wishes onto colourful poetry slips and hanging them from staves of bamboo in an echo of the Edo period practice. While we continue to pray for our own self-improvement, we should also wish for a clear, dry night, that the lovers may be reunited and the stars can sparkle in joy.